Ooh, Kenny was banned a lot, actually. So this is going to be Summit once again on more of the flanking team fighter. Don't mind that whatsoever. You're able to keep your distance from the Death's Grasp. And can also buy time in the Death Realm as well with all of the stuns that you do have available to you. So I don't mind this coming through from Summit. Certainly one of his comfort picks as well. I think it's in his top 5 most played of all time. And this comp feels a little bit better coming out from SANDBOX. I don't like the Olaf. I feel like in a comp like this, it doesn't have a lot of value, and SANDBOX do have a lot of scaling in the Corki and the Aphelios lanes.
Yeah.
So Dynamics, once again, could be heading towards Lane Kingdom, but we'll just have to see how it's going to go.
Yeah, I mean, OnFleek just going for comfort, maybe the jungle matchup, and it's kind of like the outlier for sure. But on the side of Team Dynamics, they seemingly came up with some interesting picks as well. The blind Mordekaiser is definitely one that might bite them in the back after all of this. We get to see Kuzan back on Lucian. This is, if you're a Lucian fan, this is the one team to follow because they have a lot of Lucian players. 2 is a lot for any team right now. So he gets picked up once again, this time for the mid lane. And we did not see Renekton. No Aatrox. Nothing like that. We stopped sinning and we immediately transitioned into some range up against some of that engage that Team Dynamics have.
Yeah, actually, I think this SANDBOX comp is looking better than game number 2. Still worried about the Olaf, but there's something to be said for aiming for comfort. As Dynamics this time around, it's not the finesse poke, what the analyst tests were referring to as more of a solo queue style of comp. It is certainly looking a lot more standard with your couple of carries in the Ezreal and the Lucian, and a big burly magic damage champion such as the Mordekaiser. Helps offer them back a little bit of that damage range. Plus beyond, I mean, Volibear does hybrid damage. Split pretty 50-50, to be honest. I feel like people put a lot of emphasis onto the magic damage portion of Volibear's kit, but I'm pretty sure it's only like maybe a little bit over 50% of his abilities.
Let's say 55.
Yeah, 55-45?
Yeah.
Well, we can agree on that.
Let's
sounds fine.
Yeah, that sounds good. We got a lot of the yellow here.
Oh yeah.
In the runes, it's all about the yellow.
We're conquering the attack at this point.
5 conquers, double press the attack, 1 fleet footwork, and then a couple of green boys down there in the bottom lane.
Yep, some Guardians. Galaxy. At least one of them. To, of course, have Gorilla taking the Aftershock, as is what you want to do, as good old Nautilus. Fate already chunked a little bit here, as I believe Kuzan managed to get either a Piercing Light and a double tap, or something else. Didn't see what he actually took as his first ability. It was, in fact, the Piercing Light, and he does it again, and does a lot of damage.
And gets another hit.
Oh, God.
Ooh, Fate is not taking the best trades here. The Gatling gun can be useful early, up against melee, up against weaker range, but up against Lucian, that's so you're not going to get very good trades. I'll tell you that.
I feel like you just actually want to be bombing the wave and then running away in most of the instances. But you are the Corki expert. That is not I. 10-0.
I think that definitely would have worked out a little bit better. He's missing so many CS here.
Oh no, they are all super. He didn't even get that one.
He got 2. Okay, 3.
Jeepers.
Great. It's better than 2.
That's true. That is 100% true.
We're improving. Oh, he missed another one. Oh man,
God.
Kuzan is just making this so difficult for him too.
And he has Ignite. So actually, to be honest, like if he gets an E-auto, Q-auto, Fate's dead.
Yeah.
With Ignite.
Fate knows it too. He knows he's very close. And the exhaust will help in a full-on engage, but up against like the pokey style of early Lucian, you can't do it. But here comes OnFleek.
Yep, flash immediately from Kuzan.
Wow.
That's what happens when you put your E on cooldown, especially this early. As Ardent Blaze, even Ardent Blaze is doing damage. It's really frightening. Okay, there's the flash out. Beyond gets exhausted.
Ooh.
There's a flash.
Nearly got him.
So much damage, yeah, onto Fate. As GuGer, he was even moving on in here. And OnFleek desperately wants to make sure that these minions don't go to waste. And Gorilla is also leaving the lane. Just a lot of people vacating many of these areas. Rich is getting also pushed in, missing a lot of this farm as well. Oh my god. It's getting late. It's getting late. It's getting more difficult.
The players are tired.
Yep. You can see OnFleek has been farming a little bit better than Beyond. Also still has his flash, Beyond does not.
Yeah, OnFleek just showed his face, got the flash, went right back to farming, went in, stole Raptors, it looks like, from Beyond.
Yep.
So he's trying to win that jungle matchup, whereas he knows the mid lane was kind of destroyed. Okay, we're going to get 9 CS here in... How many waves is this? Like 5 or 6?
Yeah.
Actually, it's a little bit less. It's like 3 or 4.
I mean, it's 26-9, but you know you can see in the bottom lane where there has been less harassment. It is even on 36-36. So Fate has been denied so much in this game.
This is like a Lucian player's dream where he's like, oh, look, I poked him out. I destroyed the lane. Coach, please let me play Lucian. And
I think Lucian has a better place mid than he does top, 100%.
Yeah, it depends.
Can work.
You know, it depends on if you're able to get like a blind pick Lucian that you can flex, or you know, you're picking it to counter some kind of tank or melee up in the top side where you'll see that a little bit more often as they're trying to collapse now onto Kuzan. But GuGer's here. And it almost feels like these ganks are just like desperately trying to allow Fate to farm.
Yeah, no, that's straight up what it is. This is damage control. As Gorilla not going to get bound into the wall. Gatling gun doing some work here onto Kuzan for the minute. So that trade actually works out much better for the Corki than you could otherwise expect. He even has a Sapphire Crystal, so it is going to be Fate going for the Manamune build as well, most likely, unless he decides to go for a Desperation Sheen, just to help him with some of these trades. It is a rough game, though, as OnFleek going to move on in. Boss Bomb going to get a fair bit of damage here onto Kuzan, who, remember, doesn't have his flash. That's why he's getting so much of this attention. Magical Journey. SANDBOX are ahead in gold. So, despite the fact that this mid lane has been crushing, it's not really working out here, as Kuzan does have his E back up, so I don't think OnFleek's going to be able to close that gap.
Yeah. OnFleek has spent so much time just shadowing the Lucian here that Volibear has been able to catch up in the XP and CS department. He's going to be looking top, but that's not going to work. He doesn't show himself, actually, because he notices that Summit runs away.
I do want to talk about something. Because we did have what felt like the worst possible Renekton pick. Is this the worst possible Mordekaiser pick? Because Mordekaiser is used in a lot of instances to deny the jungler. And a jungler with Ragnarok, I don't think goes into the death realm. I think you can just ulti out of it. Can you not? I don't know.
I feel like we should have seen this before.
Right? I'm perplexed. I can ask the collective.
I don't think...
You can't. Okay. That's according to one person. Yes.
Yeah, I was... It makes you immune to roots, right?
Immune to CC. Because you can't get slowed or anything like that. So, but...
Yeah, pretty sure that it does work. I mean, OnFleek is going to be one of those targets that in the late game...
you can ult out of it. So actually, you need to have Ragnarok available. If he ults you while you're Ragnarok, you don't get out, but it works as like a QSS if you're in the death room.
Huh. Okay.
That's the confirmation.
It's interesting. I feel like we should have seen Mordekaiser versus Olaf before in the LCK, given their popularity, but
if that's the interaction, we should never see Mordekaiser into Olaf, ever. Because that takes away one of the main reasons why you'd ever pick Mordekaiser.
Yeah. I mean, just picking Mordekaiser blind is already...
It's already bad.
Very interesting. There were so many things that Summit could have played into it. He just decided that Renekton was the correct one in this position, and he picks up a call. He gets ahead already, 14 CS. He's going to own the lane. and the Mordekaiser's not going to be able to scale very well. He's going to be pretty weak. We've seen it before where he tries to ult in Aphelios and then he just gets blown up. It's not very fun, as we might have 2-on-2 here.
That's real bad. Is OnFleek. He's going to throw an axe at the bear. The bear says nope. Not going to arrest you this time around, but he gets off with a warning. This Gorilla, three-shot barrage, just avoided so expertly by walking in exactly the direction as he was always going to walk. I like it. You never expect that.
Yeah, Challenger or Iron is always the question. Do you just walk in a straight line, or do you try to dodge it? But that is the expected play, that you would dodge it.
Exactly. As Kuzan gets exhausted, Culling comes in. Axe not going to be able to find anything. Kuzan just trades his ultimate for a summoner spell. And just so you guys know, that is always worth it for the one who used the ultimate. SANDBOX still in the lead. As our Summit, he's got ultimate available, not going to put it down early, as the Death Realm is now Summit. He may have to use it, he's going to. Might actually have a bit of slicing miles from time by the end, but no, he's not. And First Blood is going to go over to Kuzan.
Yeah, and that actually made Mordekaiser look useful when it's 3-on-2 and nobody's rotating up from SANDBOX to help, as Mordekaiser is also pretty low. They're trying to
package delivery to GuGer. He's well and truly dead. Gorilla's going to be able to grab that kill. As now Beyond's going to have to get off Shelly. He's going to have to ult out of there as well, as Root goes so deep for this one. See whether he flashes, and he does so. That's desperation to try and get a kill, try and get that snowball working, and I respect it 100%. The rest of Dynamics get out. Shelly not going to be so lucky. And SANDBOX, after throwing away a lead, pick it right back up again.
That they do. Summit was able to TP back into the fight. He didn't have his ultimate, but his presence was very nice to help them out in that one. As we'll have to take a look at the replay. It was a pretty broken up fight there. SANDBOX got ahead. They're going to drop this here and give Fate some much needed gold. And yeah, they're just going to protect it here. Wait until the charge comes in. Fate going to pick up 160 of his own and catch up just a bit in that CS mark.
Yep, catch up in gold as well. So have a look at this fight one more time from Rich's perspective.
야, 캐넨 나온 반피거든? 캐넨 궁도 썼어. 캐넨 뭐야, 캐넨 플래시 있다, 캐넨 플래시 있다.
Kennen has flash, but he used his ultimate. It's basically the main stuff he was saying. And then after that, Team Dynamics tried to force this, but they must have heard Corki coming with package, and it's 4-on-4. I mean, you're not. It's not really going to go well for you with your composition here. They all got split up. Lucian and Mordekaiser went top side. The other two went down bot. It was just a very messy one for Team Dynamics, and SANDBOX immediately jumped on it. The Aphelios did have to flash, but he picked up a kill because he flashed. So he's a little bit vulnerable now. You can see that Beyond is trying to make the best of it. If they can Bard ult and then potentially jump on in, but it's not really going to pan out here. And as long as Root plays safe, he's got near the most farm in the game, and he is also up a kill.
Ooh, Dredgeline lands here from Gorilla. Depth charge, move him out of the way, and look at the layering of CC. It's beautiful. And now Summit seems to have found Kuzan. Hasn't even invested his... Oh, didn't invest his flash, in fact. And Fate moves on forward and helps grab that kill for Summit. SANDBOX now looking at this Infernal Drake. What is this? They had Yamato's secret stuff afterwards. You know, he came into the locker room, gave them all the pep talk. And then Bugs Bunny was like, yeah, but what about your secret stuff?
Yeah, and honestly, I mean, you know, I know we're memeing a lot about Yamato and how he comes in with 400 IQ and basically just takes over the LCK, but old SANDBOX would have picked Aatrox for Summit. We got a fight here, actually.
Yeah, Rich is flashing on top of Summit. Summit desperately wanting to find some sort of stun, but can't get it. And Rich just dominating in the 1v1.
Yeah. And he's making that Mordekaiser look good just because of the way that Summit is playing. But either way, this was pretty straightforward. You got to layer your CC to get Bard down. Otherwise, he's going to take his little magical journey. And we're going to see how Summit makes good use of this. He uses Flash, Ultimate, and everything to get in position to try to pick up this kill, which in turn made him vulnerable here. And this is just going to be Rich just running straight at him. Summit shouldn't have gotten range. Rich ends up flashing for it, but it's always going to be worth it to pick up that kill and push your lead.
Yep.
And yeah, I mean, old SANDBOX, we'd be seeing Aatrox top, and then like, I don't even know, mid. I can only imagine like a, I don't know, a LeBlanc or something. That was banned, but either way, it would have looked a little bit differently. And I do like the way that SANDBOX did draft and how they kind of baited Team Dynamics to draft into them and got that supposed counter pick for the top side. I mean, Kennen is still doing good in the CS department, so we'll see if Summit can shore up some of the places where he's getting caught.
Feels to me like SANDBOX are just playing like a team that have found the confidence again, because a lot of what they were doing earlier in the season was just accepting their fate, which was loss. They accidentally won a game against Kingzone, but immediately rectified that mistake. Otherwise, it hasn't been a story of winning for SANDBOX here, but those series of plays, at least until Summit decided to die to Rich, really looked like a team that had a game plan and that were communicating. This is something that, you know, the fans are talking about, was the fact that in the mic checks this time, SANDBOX are talking to one another. And I don't know whether it's necessarily, you know, Yamato's here and he's inspiring them, blah, blah, blah. But any change is good change when things are going this catastrophically wrong, you know?
Yeah. Just, if you're only losing, you might as well switch things up, because you're probably going to lose if you keep doing the same thing, right? Is the point I think you're trying to give. And Rich is beginning to get a little bit confident. He's flashing some sad bumblebees in the face of Summit, saying you're probably crying. And after that Renekton game, I would be crying too. So maybe he's also just trying to tilt Summit out of this game. Could be a nice tactic.
Might be a little bit sad that, you know, the Corki isn't completely out of this game. Lucian does like to eliminate someone's ability to enter a lane phase. What's happening, though, is Brute does have Kog'Maw as well as his Caliber, which is Caitlyn.
얘가 먹는다.
So we're gonna have
내가 먹었다. 내가 먹었다.
again. Summit.
내가 먹었어, 얘들아.
It's like, he's eating it, he's taking it, and then a couple seconds later, he's like, I got it, I ate it.
Well, hope it was delicious. Summit needs all the advantages that he can get. He's got himself a book, so he might read in there that he should have picked Renekton. So hopefully he doesn't actually rifle through the pages.
Who was it last game that was reading about Renekton? The Syndra, I think?
Yeah, it was the Syndra.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting pick. I mean, there is a decent amount of healing, I suppose, on the enemy side.
Deny the Coco, although that's mostly used after the fact, so you're not really going to use your grievous wounds for that one. There's not even a summoner heal on this Team Dynamics squad.
Yeah. Well, at least he got Proto Belt first, which I feel like is pretty core for Kennen. We saw Cubate come out and he builds like a, I forget what it was, but it wasn't a Proto Belt. It was some really expensive item. Anyway, we've got to fight.
Yeah, that's a depth charge as, yep, Gorilla understands that he needs to get the hell out of here. There were too many people. He wasn't expecting them. Rich is teleported in. Gorilla's going to dive. We'll see whether SANDBOX are going to be able to get the rest of them out of there. And it looks like they are with a couple of flashes. Both of them synced up as Kuzan over the wall. And this is perfectly timed for the Drake to come in 1 second. Summit's going to be able to grab this turret. Does have teleport if they want to contest. And Olaf's still alive. But they're not going to go for it. SANDBOX give away the first Ocean Drake of the game. This time it is Dynamics first. So SANDBOX not as worried as in other instances. And this is allowing Summit to say, well, that's why I bought the Merlinomicon.
Great. Yeah. That's going to help a lot against the turret's healing for sure.
Yep.
And that play was very strange from Gorilla. Okay, so you're walking in here. The enemy is nowhere to be found. You see only Ezreal. It's almost like he found a piece of candy on the ground. He was like, ooh, piece of candy. Let's go for it. And then two people show up right over the wall. This is why Bard is amazing.
Yep.
Double flash for one ultimate. So easy.
You get to demand them, which is pretty cool. SANDBOX remain in the lead, close to 3,000 gold. And Fate's pulled things back. He's ahead in farm. Don't know how that's possible. But it's happened. He's very close to his Trinity Force. Kuzan appears like he hasn't been home in a while because he only has his Blade of the Ruined King. And Fate does have Manamune as well as very close to his Trinity Force. Dynamics to clear out some vision, grab themselves Shirley. Minute until she would have gone back home anyway, so you may as well go over and say hi. Bit rude.
Yeah, this is one place where SANDBOX will struggle as a team. We see a lot of the time that they like to go for early aggressive compositions. They haven't done that here, but they still do have trouble in the mid game when they do go for these kind of compositions. And it seems like they just slowly lose their grip over some of the map and kind of just let objectives go to the wayside. As, you know, Shirley went down, the Dragon got caught because Gorilla was totally out of position. Just little mistakes like this can actually really turn the tide of a game, and you do have to be careful not to feed Ezreal Lucian in the mid game, because you are going to have some major problems alongside of a Mordekaiser who kind of thankfully ran into some kills in the early game.
Yeah, actually, Rich is doing very well. Close to collecting his Nash's Tooth. That is going to be on his next back. Now just tidying up the bottom lane. Do want to talk about item spikes a little bit because Fate completed his Muramana as well as his Trinity Force at the same time. The absolute dream for a Corki. OnFleek's just breaking the cocoa. All that cocoa. No, not going to be drinking it, not this time around as Fate clears out the minion wave. Comes over, grabs these wards, needs as many CS numbers as possible to just try and ignore what happened at levels 1 through 3. But, you know, he's absolutely fine. Within 2, no worries whatsoever. Root now parked in the mid lane, happily laning against deokdam, who's behind him by about 20 CS. Close to getting our Runan's Hurricane, which is going to be a really big moment for the Aphelios. And we have to remember that SANDBOX shouldn't be winning at this stage. They have Corki Aphelios, which scale amazingly well. And, you know, their CC and dive potential is really, really strong in this composition. So Dynamics really have to start finding themselves some advantages.
Yeah, little by little. They've got some of them, but they haven't been able to roll it into too much just yet. Beyond is run around looking for possibilities on the map. There's no real objective for anyone to go for. Nobody's going to run down a Baron at this point. So Team Dynamics will look to stack Ocean Drakes, whereas SANDBOX will look to get onto Soul Point in the next one. And we'll have to take a look at item spikes once we do get there. You can see that Ezreal is desperately trying to get Trinity Force here before this fight, which would be pretty fantastic. Lucian pretty far away from Black Cleaver. And on the other side, I mean, you have 2 items here for Corki, Muramana, and you got 2 items for Root. So I feel like they're in a much better spot in terms of item timings. They have the package here too. Might be a mistake for Dynamics to fight here, but at the same time, the onus is on them. As we always say, they've got to kind of find the advantage.
And the answer to Ocean Soul as well is Rich. Yeah, he's going to pop over. Beyond. Ooh, Dredgeline from Gorilla does close distance, but otherwise not too much more as Kuzan gets exhausted. He may just die. Does have to flash. As Tempted Fate comes in, not going to do too much as Kuzan between a rock and a hard place well and truly. Summon gets exhausted, but does break apart this fight really beautifully. Rich now putting him in the death realm, seeing whether he can take him down. He's going to, but it's always going to be a 1-for-1 in that instance. Beyond deokdam and GuGer still alive. SANDBOX only lose Summit. Bit of a push here as Shirley is going to ram her skull into the outer turret mid lane as Gorilla's going to say no for the moment. But still, she is going to go off. Okay, Root does have to flash to get himself out of the way. The Sky Strike from Beyond is not going to land on the Root. He's going to take that kill. As now, Moonlight Vigil has to get Arcane shifted out of, but deokdam does deny that ultimate from getting any value. Now just the bottom lane remains from Dynamics, and OnFleek and Root should be very comfortably able to take down this Ocean Drake with the help of Fate.
Yeah, we're going to have to take a look at that replay. I think you guys all have it kind of burned into your brain what did just happen. If you're playing Lucian against Exhaust Corki, do not eat forward when there is Nautilus and Kennen right next to him. This is not a good idea. And you can see the Bar tries to save him, the Volibear tries to make something of it, but after you get that far behind and everybody gets out of position, SANDBOX are always going to win this fight. See that Rich? He got pretty fed in the early game, he's trying to make something of it, but the rest of his team is nowhere to be found after the kill, so they just hand over a double kill to the Corki, and they get the Ocean Drake. They try to go for this cube play here with Corki bot, and they say, hey, we could try to win a 3v3. We've got some CC and burst. But Root says, well, I still have flash and heal. And is able to pick up a kill. At least, thankfully, the Nautilus went back in and gave the kill over to the Ezreal. But as we said, I mean, this is the time for Team Dynamics to make a big impact. We're already about 5,000 gold behind.
Well, that's a Ragnarok that definitely needs to be used. Fate is going to find his way into the fight, though, and it's an Olaf that does keep himself alive. Gorilla now in the death realm. Wanders towards the turret, but he's got a Gargoyle Stoneblade, so keeps himself alive. There's the depth charge. Throws it onto Rich. Can't explain why. SANDBOX will just clear out the mini wave underneath the turret. So a big cooldown now. Unavailable for Dynamics in that Mord ultimate. And OnFleek's he's got his Warmogs already, so he's very happy to get targeted like that, because then he just walks away for a few moments and then comes back with full health.
Yeah, we're going to be seeing Ezreal eventually get into this Death's Dance, and I think it's really going to be up to deokdam here to do the majority of the carrying, and maybe Rich can take out one of those really threatening targets, but it's going to be difficult for him because he's really not tanky. He only has Merc Tread, so if you get like Fate or Root into a Death Realm, you might just lose in a straight-up fight, even though they're, you know, essentially both 80 carries. So I think it's going to be really up to deokdam to try to poke him down, extend these fights, and try to use his mobility to his advantage. But so far, SANDBOX have been doing pretty well to get the good engages off, especially when Kuzan kind of just dashes into them.
Yep. Should probably keep that aside. Let's just say it was a good play from Fate. As Skystrike does nothing, and OnFleek's going to find a few more axes. SANDBOX controlling the upper side river. As Summit holds the bottom lane. Black Cleaver finally done for Kuzan. Felt like it took forever to put that item together. And Fate is a full item in the lead. As you can see, iterated right here. Just a frighteningly large amount of items for the Corki, who has had over 1,000 gold after, getting pretty obliterated in the first few levels. Definitely working out as far as this timing is concerned. Still is going to get huge damage spikes as this build keeps coming together. Next item should be something like an Infinity Edge. And then after that, even collecting yourself a Mercurial Scimitar or a More of Malmortius or something like that. Probably not more because he's against a lot of physical damage, but get a lot of different things, and every single time makes that Corki stronger and stronger. I would say Mercurial Scimitar would be good, just so you can get out of a Death Realm if someone's going to try and put you in there.
Yeah.
Someone, I mean Rich.
Ooh. That was a nice little snipe. Cute, I think, is appropriate in this case for that ultimate. deokdam is going to get it back very quickly. We got a minute until this Ocean Drake. You can see that Team Dynamics is trying to set up a play before it even gets started. Summit does not have TP, and so he could be a decent target if they waited, you know, about 20 seconds. Fate is going to be ready for this. You always save your packets for the big team fight that you know is coming, the big fight around the Ocean Soul point for SANDBOX. And it's actually looking really good for them so far. We'll see if they can put together another team fight, and we'll have to see on the side of Team Dynamics if Kuzan can get any value out of this Lucian pick. That looked good early on in the lane, but doesn't seem to have really the range to handle the composition that SANDBOX have.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing who Rich is going to be death roaming as well. Whether he's just going to go for an easy kill to start things off, or whether he's going to take someone important out of the fight. Be an option here as Root gets back with the rest of his team. Summit in decent flanking position as, oh my goodness, Rich completely chunked, and now it doesn't matter who he puts in the death realm because he's going to die instantly if he goes in there with them, as there's the Moonlight Vigil. A lot of extra damage here as Root does have Kog'Maw and Caitlyn, the exact combo that you want. Tempered Fate down onto that Ocean Soul Dragon, as the Olaf's going to get pulled back, and they do confirm the Ocean Soul. That bear was put down so quickly. It was insane. And now over a 5,000 gold lead for SANDBOX. They have Ocean Soul. They should not be winning this, and this should be SANDBOX's first match win. This should be Yamato Cannon with a 100% win rate as far as match score in the LCK forever.
Yeah.
The European coach now has, for European coaches in Korea for the LCK, 100% win rate.
100%?
Of all time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Breaking records right now.
This
Never
is history.
before done.
Yeah.
You guys are with us on the day. And they're going to take down the Baron, and there's really nothing that Team Dynamics can do. They're all respawning here. They might try, but I think it will be in vain. Okay, here they come.
Yeah, well, no Tempered Fate is going to be available. GuGer repositions with his Magical Journey. SANDBOX are going to reposition because they don't feel like fighting at this particular point in time. And Summit, he's going to say no. He's got Slicing Maelstrom. He's going to dive on in as, where did he go? Okay, no, he doesn't. That looked weird.
Watch this fight.
Yeah, Summit's just waiting. He's biding his time. Gorilla going to get chunked, and explosions of damage as Summit finds the backline, but that was just the most comfortable you could ever be as a Kennen. He waited for that precise moment. Now he's 1v1 in Kuzan. I don't know whether he's going to win this one, but the flash does come through. Kuzan giving respect over to the Kennen this time. And SANDBOX, I have a feeling they'll be able to march this one through and possibly even just win the game right here.
It's looking likely. They have the Baron, and with TPs coming in, they might just be able to do it. He's going to stop him for 3 seconds, but that is not going to be enough as they've got a massive wave coming in, and they're going to look to end this one.
Yep, Kuzan going to get ulted. Oh my god, that Frost Bomb exploded the Lucian. Nothing that he could do. The Nexus is going to last about as long, and after a 10,000 gold lead in the end, SANDBOX do pick up their